Hello and welcome to this presentation. I've titled this Wildflowers and Weeds because often both these terms can be used for the same plant, depending on your perspective. I hope by the end of the presentation you'll be viewing more plants as wildflowers rather than weeds. We might first define what a weed is. A dictionary definition is a plant not valued where it's growing, one that tends to overgrow and choke out more desirable plants. I also like this quote, "A weed is a plant out of place," which sums it all up. Both these definitions suggest how you view a plant will determine whether or not you class it as a weed. So let me change your perception of 5 very common plants that are probably often referred to as weeds. You'll find these plants easily in gardens and parks and along roadsides. They have a long growing and in some cases long flowering season, so you're likely to find some signs of them nearly all year round. Nettles. Nettles are plants I think everyone knows and learns to recognize them early, unfortunately for negative reasons, due to the very painful sting delivered by this plant. The sting of nettle is so well known that a piece of plant lore has been passed down through the ages, and I think nearly every Irish person knows it, that the cure for a nettle sting is to rub a dock leaf on the affected area. I love that this piece of history has been passed down to us for who knows how long. It really connects us with the nature around us. Does dock leaf work? My research suggests that rubbing the dock leaf on a nettle sting works more as a distraction from the pain than a real cure. Perhaps we need to be saying this old rhyme that was common in Ireland as part of the cure. Dockin' in and out, take the sting of nettle out. Whether or not dock works, the fact that we still remember this old cure is magical in itself. There is another common plant that might actually work on nettle sting that I'll discuss a little later. Despite their prickly nature, nettles have long been used by people as a food, as a fibre to make cloth, rope and fishing nets, and as a medicinal herb. Nettles were considered good for purifying the blood, particularly as a spring tonic after a long winter without access to fresh green vegetables. Nettle tea is still considered a good drink to help relieve allergy symptoms. Nettles were also used to treat rheumatism by flogging or beating the affected area with nettles, perhaps a cure worse than the disease. In Ireland, nettles were used to treat a number of ailments, including colds, coughs, measles, jaundice and parasitic worms. And it was considered such a healthy food that there was a belief, common in rural parts of Ireland, that if you ate 3 meals containing nettles in May, you would not be sick for the rest of the year. Nettles do contain a good amount of iron and vitamin C, so they are indeed a healthy food. And a great way to get your 3 meals of nettles is nettle soup. A handful of tender nettle tops, potato, onion, stock and a dash of cream, and you have a delicious, nutritious meal. Or use them as you would spinach or any other similar green. Cooking even briefly destroys the sting, making them safe to eat, though I would recommend gloves when you're harvesting. After the month of May, nettles start to become quite tough and the leaves are not considered good for eating anymore. You particularly don't want to eat them after they've flowered. But if you've missed the leaves, you might still be able to harvest the seeds. They make a delicious nutty snack. Nettles are not only good food for us, but an important food for butterflies. Not the adults, but the caterpillars. The peacock, small tortoiseshell, red admiral, and comma all have caterpillars that feed on nettles. So if you can have a patch of nettles in your garden, you will have a supply of tasty vegetables and perhaps some colourful insect visitors. Yarrow. Yarrow is another plant whose healing virtues have been known since ancient times. A number of wildflowers have white flowers held in a flat cluster, but you'll be able to distinguish yarrow easily by its wonderful feathery leaves. The Greek mythological hero Achilles was said to carry yarrow into battle to treat wounded soldiers. Yarrow leaves crushed up and applied to the wound are said to reduce bleeding and encourage healing. In Ireland and Britain, yarrow was also used to treat bleeding piles and kidney problems. Yarrow tea was drunk to open the pores in the skin and to purify the blood. It was also drunk for a treatment for depression. Yarrow was also used in love divination for finding out who your future husband or wife would be. One tradition was to gather 9 sprigs of yarrow after sunset on May Eve while repeating, good morrow, fair yarrow, and thrice good morrow to thee. Come, tell me before tomorrow, who my true love shall be. The yarrow was brought home and put into the right foot stocking and placed under your pillow, and that night you would dream of your future beloved. Ribwort plantain. Known in Irish folklore as the health herb, its curative properties were said to be so great that it could even bring back the dead. Ribwort was mainly used to treat wounds and stings. The leaves could be chewed or crushed and applied as a poultice to the cut or sting. It's considered by herbalists to be a better cure for nettles than dock. And I have to admit, I do now reach for plantain before dock when I get stung, and I do feel it soothes the sting a little better. Ribwort was also taken as an infusion for its soothing effects on all kinds of coughs and lung infections. The name ribwort comes from the 5 ridges clearly seen on the back of the leaves that look like ribs. The healing power of ribwort was so revered that it was believed to have treated the wounds of Christ himself, and the 5 ridges commemorate the 5 wounds received by Christ during the crucifixion. Daisies. Daisies are a common little plant, but a welcome herald of spring. The word daisy may come from the Anglo-Saxon for day's eye, which refers to the plant's habit of only opening its flowers during the day and closing them at night or in very dull weather. Not only pretty, daisies were highly prized as a healing herb, and they've been used in traditional medicine in Europe since the Middle Ages. It was known as bruisewort because the crushed leaves could be used as a poultice to treat bruises and swellings. Another name for it was bone flower, because it was said to be used to treat broken bones. In Ireland, daisies were used to treat coughs, colds, headaches, stomach and liver problems, chilblains, and ringworm. A common saying in Ireland was that spring was said to have arrived when a person could cover 3 daisies with their foot. Other traditions have the number at 9 or 12 daisies. I guess it depends on how desperate you are for spring to have started. So I like the 3. And when there were plenty of daisies available, a favourite pastime was to make a daisy chain. A simple activity to help kids of all ages reconnect with and enjoy nature. The dandelion. The dandelion is probably the plant considered a weed and nuisance by gardeners. This is so unfortunate, as it is a wildflower with a fascinating history of use by people and very important ecologically. Every part of the dandelion has had a use. Dandelions were used by ancient Arabic physicians and later by ancient Greeks, followed by many herbalists through Europe Middle Ages. It was used in Ireland for a wide variety of ailments, such as coughs and colds, asthma, and other respiratory issues. A cure for tuberculosis in Dublin was to eat a sandwich of dandelion leaves with butter. The juice from the stem was used to cure warts, and dandelion was eaten as a salad for rheumatism. The roots can be made into a very acceptable caffeine-free coffee substitute, and the flowers made into a marmalade. And what summer would be complete without at least once blowing the seeds off of dandelion clock? Dandelions are also an important early source of food for bumblebees emerging from their long winter hibernation. We spend so much effort keeping our lawns weed-free. I'm biased, but I think a lawn of dandelions is so much prettier. This has been a quick tour through some of the uses of the common Irish wild plants. Nearly every wildflower I've come across has some interesting story, legend or use behind it. By learning about the uses of wildflowers or old stories and legends about them, we can look at wildflowers and, yes, weeds in a new way. And we need to start noticing our wildflowers, because if we don't notice them while they're around, we won't notice as they disappear. The National Folklore Collection has collected and digitized lots of stories of old herbs and cures from people in Ireland. It's a fascinating glimpse into our past relationship with wildflowers, and well worth having a look at. There are also a few good books about the legends and uses of wildflower, and plenty of online resources. Or just start simply. On your next walk, slow down and look at the plants around you. This patch of grass outside CCAD offices in Middleton is being managed by Wildwork. People walk past it every day without having a closer look. But if they did, they would notice the wonderful diversity of wildflowers in this little patch. And little surprises occur when you look closer. This is a bee orchid, becoming quite common in Middleton, where the grass has been let to grow a little bit longer and the wildflowers left to bloom.